The sky above Earth turned dark as the alien ships arrived. They came in silence, huge, black, and shaped like blades. People called them the Cutters. These were not just warships. They were symbols of power, of control. Inside the largest cutter stood Commander Arzen, leader of the Zarthan Empire's invasion force. Arzen looked down at the planet with cold eyes. Earth was green, blue, and full of clouds. To him it looked peaceful, weak. He laughed as he spoke to his soldiers. They say Earth has monsters, ghosts, beasts hiding in the dark. Arzen said, old stories, human lies, nothing more. The Zarthan soldiers laughed. Their bodies were tall, armored, and perfect for war. They had conquered 5 planets in the last cycle. Earth was just another target. On the battlefield below, the invasion began. Zarthan troops landed in empty cities, forests, and old military bases. But something felt strange. There was no resistance, no armies, no humans. At first, Arzen was pleased. They ran away, he said. They heard we were coming. But then something happened. The first scout team, 12 trained soldiers, was sent into an old human base in Alaska. They reported in every 5 minutes. Then suddenly their signals stopped. All of them, at the same time. Arzen ordered a second team. But before they entered the base, a helmet from the first team was found outside. It was cracked, crushed, as if by great force. The second team entered with caution. They used night vision, scanners, and sensors. They moved slow, careful. Then one of them screamed. The control room back on the ship watched the helmet camera. At first, the screen showed the dark hallway of the base. Then something moved across the screen, fast, black, and human-shaped. The camera shook. There was a growl like metal scraping stone. Then static. Gone. Both teams vanished. Commander Arzen narrowed his eyes. This was not expected. It's nothing. A local animal. Maybe a trap, he said. But his voice was not as firm as before. Later that day, a strange mist covered the battlefield near the base. Thick, cold, the air temperature dropped fast. Zarthan Tech said it was natural, but that made no sense. Earth's weather did not change like this. Arzen sent drones to scan the area. None returned. Then a video was found. One of the first soldiers had recorded something on a backup device. It showed him walking through the base, breathing heavily. He said, something is following us. We hear it, but we don't see it. It's fast. It walks on 2 legs. Then the video showed the man turning around quickly. A deep growl. A shadow with glowing eyes. Then black. Arzen stared at the screen. He had seen hundreds of creatures, thousands of species. But this was different. It was not just an animal. It felt old, wrong. One of his officers stepped forward, holding something in his claws. We found this in the bunker, sir, he said. It was a piece of paper, old, yellowed, written in human language. They translated the words. Legends are not lies. They are warnings. You were told to fear the dark for a reason. Silence filled the command room. A new team of soldiers refused to enter the base. They said they heard whispering in their helmets. One of them said, I saw something. It looked like a man, but his face was not right. Like smoke. Commander Arzen grew angry. You are trained warriors. You fear stories. But in his heart, even Arzen felt something. A pressure. As if the air itself was warning him, leave. That night, more soldiers disappeared. No blood, no sound. Just empty armor found the next morning, burned from the inside. A strange symbol was found carved into the metal wall of their bunker. It was not made by any tool. It looked scratched in with claws. The symbol was old, from Earth's past. But no one knew what it meant. The battlefield was quiet now. Too quiet. Not a sound. No birds. No wind. Just silence. Commander Arzen stood at the edge of his command ship, looking down at Earth. What is this place? He whispered. He had come to crush a weak world. But something on Earth was watching him, and it was not afraid. The mist came with no warning. It rolled over the hills like a living thing, thick, white, and cold. It swallowed the trees, the buildings, and the alien machines. Nothing could see through it, not even Zarthan scanners. Commander Arzan stood on the battlefield, watching the fog spread across the land. His soldiers stood in formation, but they were nervous. Their armor made soft clicking sounds as they moved. Their eyes scanned the thick white around them. "Hold your ground," Arzan ordered. "This planet plays tricks. That's all it is." But deep inside he felt something strange, a feeling he hadn't felt in years. Fear. A team of scouts moved into the mist. There were 10 of them, armed with plasma rifles, heat sensors, and tracking gear. They were the best. 5 minutes passed. No signal. 10 minutes. Nothing. At minute 15, a sound came through the radio. A whisper, then static. Then, a scream. It was sharp, loud, cut off too fast. Then silence again. Commander Arzan's face grew hard. "Send the flyers," he ordered. 3 small drones flew into the mist. They moved fast, with blinking red lights. The command screen showed what they saw. White. Just white. Until one drone turned sharply. The camera showed something moving below. A shape. Tall, thin, 2 legs. Then the screen shook. The drone crashed. The second drone caught a short image, something running. On 2 legs, fast, almost too fast. Then static. All drones lost. The mist grew thicker. The air became ice cold. Some Zarthan soldiers began to shake. Then someone came running out of the mist. A soldier. Alone. He collapsed at the feet of Commander Arzan. His armor was broken. His helmet cracked. He was shaking. Blood leaked from his arm. "It's hunting us," he whispered. "It's not a man, not a machine." His eyes were wide with terror. Then he passed out. The medics took him away. Arzan turned to his officers. What did he mean? What is hunting them? One of the officers showed him a strange photo taken from the broken drone. It showed claw marks, deep ones cut into the ground like a wild animal had been there. But they were shaped like hands. Big hands, with long fingers. More like claws. Another officer brought an old book they found in a bunker. Inside, drawings of strange creatures. One looked just like the shape in the drone footage. Below it was a word, Skinwalker. Arzan looked at it and laughed. Another human story. More nonsense. But no one laughed with him this time. The soldiers were afraid now. One of them said quietly, "We can't shoot it. Our weapons pass through it. It moves like smoke." That night, the fog stayed. Zarthan soldiers made a circle around the base. Lights on. Weapons ready. But nothing came. Just whispers. Strange sounds in the dark. Some said they saw red eyes in the mist. Others said they heard their names being called, in human voices. One soldier fired into the fog. He said someone was walking toward him slowly. But when the others looked, there was nothing there. Only footprints. Human-shaped, but much too large. And the footprints were burning, leaving black marks in the grass. The next morning, 4 more soldiers were missing. Their weapons were still on the ground. Still loaded. Still warm. But the soldiers were gone. No sounds. No fight. Just gone. Arzan finally spoke with the human prisoner they had captured days before. A small man, wounded, sitting in a cage. Arzan looked him in the eyes. "What is in your mist?" he asked. The human smiled slowly. "It's not our mist," he said. "It's his." "Who?" The human leaned forward. "The Guardian, the one we feared. The one we locked away long ago. Your people woke him up." "Is it a weapon?" Arzan asked. The human shook his head. "No. He was never a weapon. He was a warning. Commander Arzen didn't speak. Because far in the distance, deep inside the mist, a growl echoed across the field. Low, hungry, and getting closer. The Zarthan army moved carefully now. No more jokes. No more laughs about human stories. Too many soldiers had vanished. Too many screams had been heard. Now the mighty alien force acted like hunted prey. Commander Arzen ordered his men into an old human fortress deep in the mountains. It was made of stone and steel, built before Earth's fall. Its walls were tall. Its doors were thick. It looked safe. But it didn't feel safe. "We'll study this place," Arzen said. "We'll find what they're hiding. No more surprises." Inside, the fortress was cold and dark. Lights flickered. Dust covered the floor. Strange symbols were painted on the walls, symbols no one could read. Some were carved in deep, like someone had scratched them in with claws. Others looked burned into the stone. A group of Zarthan scientists entered the command room of the fortress. They found books, maps, and drawings. One book had a red cover. Inside were pictures of creatures, monsters from different parts of Earth. A horned shadow from the forests of Canada. A white-skinned beast with red eyes from Asia. A tall ghost with a bleeding mouth from South America. Each picture had a warning written in human language. "If you see this, run." The soldiers stared at the book in silence. Then something strange happened. One of them, Officer Varn, touched the book. He froze. His eyes rolled back. Then he began to whisper, but not in Zarthan language, in an old human tongue. He walks, he waits, he remembers. Everyone backed away. Then Varn collapsed. His nose blowed. His skin turned pale. They took him to the medbay. He didn't wake up. More strange things began to happen. Doors slammed shut by themselves. Lights flickered even when power was strong. A loud knock echoed in the hallways, but when soldiers ran to check, nothing was there. One soldier said he saw a figure at the end of the hall, a tall shape in black armor. But when he looked again, it was gone. Another soldier heard a voice calling from inside the walls. It spoke in whispers, saying names. Their names. Commander Arzen grew angry. "This is madness. We are warriors, not children afraid of shadows." But even his voice was not strong anymore. Then they found the old chamber, deep in the fortress. Behind a steel door marked with strange red paint. Inside, the walls were covered in carvings, stories, pictures, painted in blood. It told of Earth's darkest secrets. How humans once made deals with beings from beyond the stars. Not aliens, but things older than time. They lived in shadows, fed on fear, and gave humans power for a price. These beings were locked away by the humans long ago. Locked behind stories, behind legends, behind belief. As long as people believed the stories, the creatures stayed trapped. But now, the stories were forgotten. And the aliens? They didn't believe at all. So the doors opened, and the legends returned. One last room was found. It was sealed with heavy chains. A message was scratched into the door. "Do not enter, not even the brave. This room is watched by the Ghost King." The soldiers entered anyway. Inside, it was empty. At first. Then, one by one, the lights died. And a voice spoke. From the shadows. Low, slow, cold. "You broke the seal. You called me a lie. Now, you will see." The lights came back on. All soldiers were gone. Only their weapons remained. Still warm. Commander Arzen watched the video from the last helmet cam. He saw his soldiers scream. He saw shadows move faster than any being should. He saw a face made of smoke and ash. Then black screen. Arzen said nothing. He turned off the screen and walked outside. He looked at the sky and whispered, "What have we done?" The sun never rose that day. The sky stayed dark. The clouds were thick and red like blood floating above the earth. The Zarthan soldiers called it the Red Night. Commander Arzan stood on the balcony of the human fortress. He looked at the sky and felt something watching him. Not from above, from below. "It's like the planet is breathing," he said quietly. Zarthan equipment stopped working. No radar, no scanners, no comms. Their own ships in orbit had gone silent. The army was blind. The fortress lights flickered again. But now, it wasn't the mist. It was something worse. Something ancient. Inside the fortress, soldiers stayed close together. They spoke less, ate less, slept with their weapons in their hands. No one wanted to be alone. One soldier, Kren, went missing after going to the lower level for repairs. 2 others were sent to find him. They didn't come back. An officer found Kren's armor near the reactor room. The armor was still warm, but inside, it was full of ash, burned from the inside like the others. And on the wall, written in ash, were the words, "He sees you." That night, the red clouds began to move, like fingers stretching across the sky. The fortress alarm screamed, but there was no attack, no fire, only silence and red light from every window. Then the ground shook. Slight at first, then stronger. The soldiers ran to their positions. They pointed their rifles at the trees, the gates, the sky. But nothing came. Only one thing changed. The temperature. It dropped to freezing in seconds. Then the whispers returned. This time louder. Every soldier heard them. Voices calling their names. Voices from their past. Some heard loved ones. Some heard enemies. One heard his own voice, calling him from the hallway. They ran. Commander Arzan ordered them back. "Hold your ground. These are mind tricks." But his voice cracked, because even he heard something. A whisper. In perfect Zarthan tongue. "Arzan, I know your fear. I was born from it." Suddenly, the walls of the fortress cracked. One section collapsed. A dark shape stood in the dust. Tall, thin, eyes glowing red. No face, no armor, only shadow. It walked without sound. Every soldier who saw it froze in place. Some screamed, some ran. None survived. They shot at it. Plasma rounds, explosives. Nothing touched it. It moved through bullets like smoke. And when it touched someone, they turned to ash. One officer shouted, "What is it? What is it?" The human prisoner answered from his cage. "That is the Red King, keeper of the old. You broke the balance. You called him fake. Now he's awake." The Red King raised one hand, and the lights died. For 10 full minutes, there was nothing. No sound. No light. Only red outside the windows. When power returned, half the fortress was gone. Not destroyed, just gone. Like it had never been there. The walls were smooth, clean, empty. Commander Arzan stood at the edge of the broken floor. He looked out at the burning sky. And for the first time in his life, he whispered the word no Zarthan leader had ever said. "Retreat." But the voice came again. "There is no escape. You called your army strong. But stories are stronger." And the red night continued, until even the stars above Earth went dark. The Zarthan army was broken. Their fortress was half gone. Their tech was dead. Their numbers were falling fast. Commander Arzan had never seen anything like it. Not in all his wars. But the worst part, they still didn't know what they were fighting. Arzan gathered the few officers he had left. They stood inside a cold room lit by weak backup lights. The red clouds still hung outside, unmoving. "We need answers," Arzan said. "We were not defeated by weapons. We were defeated by stories." No one spoke. Then one of the soldiers, the one who had survived the mist, stepped forward. His voice was shaky. I read the human files. They have names. Monsters. Myths. But the humans believed them. They wrote books, made drawings, told stories to their children. Arzin narrowed his eyes. They believed, and that belief made them real. The soldier nodded. Yes, maybe not real like us, but real enough to kill. Another officer brought a map. It showed Earth marked with red zones, places the Zarthans had avoided because of strange signals or missing troops. Each zone matched the stories in the human files. A frozen mountain in Russia, home of the bone giant. A deep forest in Japan where the faceless woman walks. A swamp in America, where the shadow man drags souls under. A desert in Africa, haunted by the Dust King with burning eyes. And all of them were moving, coming closer. They are gathering, the officer whispered, like they were waiting for something or someone. Arzin turned toward the window. Far in the distance, through the blood-red sky, he saw shapes. Not machines, not humans, legends. They walked slowly but with power. Some were as tall as buildings. Others crawled. One flew in the air, its wings made of fire and bones. The soldiers watched in silence. Then one of them dropped to his knees. We can't win, he said. They're not just monsters. They're revenge. Suddenly, the prisoner spoke from his cage again. The human man, weak but still alive. He looked up at Commander Arzin. You broke the balance, he said. Earth kept these things asleep with fear and respect. You laughed at our stories. Now they've come to remind you. Arzin walked over to the cage. What do they want? He asked. The prisoner stared through him. They want to be remembered. Suddenly, alarms went off. The fortress sensors, half broken, flashed red. Something had entered the base. A legend had arrived. The cameras showed a tall figure walking through the gates. Its body was human-shaped but burned black. Its face had no mouth, no eyes, only a hole where sound came out, a deep howl like the wind from a grave. One word appeared on the damaged monitor. The hollow. Soldiers opened fire. Plasma shots. Bombs. Nothing worked. The hollow moved without care. Each time it screamed, lights shattered. Ears bulged, walls cracked. Commander Arzin stared at it. This is not war, he said. This is something older than war. Then, without warning, the ground outside split open. From the earth, more shadows rose. Big, small, crawling, flying. All different. All dangerous. All from human nightmares. They walked toward the base, slow, steady, unstoppable. The legends had awoken. The battlefield was no longer Earth's. It belonged to them now. Arzin turned to his soldiers. Fall back to the dropships. We are leaving this planet. But when they reached the hangar, the ships were gone. Not destroyed. Not damaged. Just missing. The last message from the Skyfleet came through the radio. Only one word. Run. The legends walked. The battlefield was quiet now. Not because the fighting had stopped, but because there was no one left to fight. Smoke covered the sky. The red clouds were gone, replaced by deep black, like the planet itself had turned its face away. Commander Arzin stood alone in the ruins of the fortress. His armor was cracked, his weapon gone, his army destroyed. Only the human prisoner remained, still sitting in his cage, still calm. Arzin limped toward him. Why? He asked. Why did they come? The human looked up. His eyes were tired but clear. Because you never understood. We told you Earth was dangerous. We warned you our monsters were not just in stories. But you didn't listen. Arzin dropped to his knees. We've fought 1,000 species. We've conquered stars. But this was different. The human nodded slowly. Yes, because you didn't fight an army. You fought fear itself. Suddenly, the ground shook again. From the hills, the final legend approached. The sky turned red one last time, and through the fire, a giant appeared. A being made of bones, chains, and shadow. Its eyes were burning suns. Its footsteps cracked the earth. Every Zarthan ship in orbit tried to run. But the moment this being looked at them, they vanished, gone, like dust in wind. "What is that?" Arzin whispered. The human stood now. Free. The cage was open, though no one had touched it. "That is the last one," he said. "The one who comes when all stories end." We called it the final whisper. Arzin stared at the creature. No weapon could stop it. No mind could understand it. It didn't speak with words. It spoke with silence. And with that silence, every legend stopped. They'd all turned toward it and knelt. Even the Red King. Even the Hollow. Even the fire-winged beast. The final whisper raised its hand. And for one breathless second, the world froze. Time itself stopped. Then the creature looked at Arzin and showed him something. Memories. Human children telling stories around a campfire. Old people whispering warnings before sleep. Books, drawings, songs, everything humans used to pass on fear. That was their weapon. That was their shield. Stories. Legends. Belief. And the Zarthans had taken it all away. They erased it. Laughed at it. Now Earth remembered. Now the stories walked. The final whisper spoke, not in voice, but in thought. And Arzin heard it clearly. You wanted to know the truth. Now you are part of the last story ever told. Then everything turned white. No fire. No pain. Just light. And when the light faded, Earth was quiet. The legends were gone. Their work was done. The battlefield was empty. No Zarthans left. Only whispers in the wind. And the old human stories waiting to be told again.